Hello and welcome to What If Deku Had a Time Release Kekkei Genkai. And this series is going to be awesome in advance. I'm just saying I love this series. It's been fun making it. I hope you will enjoy it as well. It will just involve Deku having chakra, but I'm not going to start out with chakra all at the same time. I'm going to build it up slowly. But the second part is when you should really start seeing Deku fully come into realizing what his powers actually are and like get his full awakening of sorts. But without any further ado, let's begin. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay updated on all of my future videos, and let's begin. We begin this part with Deku being told of what his quirk was, as Ochaco would say. So their son seems to be a sort of mutant type. He has the ability to control time to a certain extent. Is he gonna be okay? All of a sudden, he started just getting headaches, and the next thing I knew, he started running around like a flash, said Inko. Mom, I'm fine. Doc, what do I have, huh? Asked Rowdy Deku. Ochaco would laugh, saying Deku seems to have something to do with time, like he said before. We don't have it all figured out yet, but we're gonna name it Chrono. What do you think? With a thumbs up, he says that sounds pretty cool, and he jumps down from his seat, asking if they can leave now. And Inko would say, Izuku. Sorry about him. He's always kind of jittery. I'm full of energy. That's different, okay? Said Deku. Izuku then says not to worry about it, as he proceeds to tell Inko that they have to come back in a week, but she should make sure that Deku doesn't eat anything sweet because it did influence what happened to him the first time he did use his quirk. With a nod, Inko stands and she takes Deku and they go home. And the next day, Deku went back to school. As he enters his classroom, Bakugo is the first to yell for him. Hey, you got your quirk? Deku would nod, as this is when the kids start to near him and instantly start to surround and ask him what he can do. The teacher would then come and tell them to give him some space, but Deku says he really doesn't know what he can do yet. Last time I just moved. Yeah, I just moved. Sorry, said Deku. With the look of disappointment, the kids say it's okay because at least he has a quirk like Bakugo, because none of them have their quirks yet. Slowly, they start to get back to their seats, as Bakugo then asks Deku what his quirk is about, or if he even has the slightest idea about it, and he would say, it's something to do with time. Time. That's pretty strong. But I'm still the strongest, said Bakugo. I never asked, says Deku, with Bakugo then starting to say that he should shut up, and the two start to bicker while the others feel weird about stepping in. The teacher is the one to stop them, and she was too used to it because it happened all the time, but they two were still kind of fairly close, so she thought it was okay. When recess came, Deku would be trying hard to use his quirk because he could not get Bakugo's voice out of his head, and with a grunt he closes his eyes and keeps screaming just as he feels something weird in his left eye. He opens it and his eye begins to see things differently. The falling leaves look so slow and it's as if they were in slow motion. He blinks and everything returned to normal, but everything had a tint of blue as well. Cool, he thought. From afar, Bakugo would be showing off his quirk to others, and everyone watched in amazement, and he then saw Deku acting weird and he smirked. You're never gonna beat me, because I'm the best, he thought. Days would then pass, and Deku returns to the doctor as his quirk is fully tested, and these are his parameters. Quirk Chrono. From his left eye, Deku releases a sort of circuit that allows him to accelerate his perception, and he can spread that circuit to his brain, allow him to calm himself down by slowing down his brain, and he can also accelerate his thought processing. Also, these circuits for now could only be spread to his right hand, allowing him to speed up his punches and give him incredible power, but it is only limited to his right hand for a while. His outburst of speed seems possible with the ingestion of something sweet or more training, but it's more so less like impossible right now, since he has to spread all the circuits all over his body to move that fast. And he can only after a bit of training, he'll probably be able to do it without sweets. After learning what he can do, Deku starts to train and show what he can really do at school, and compared to Bakugo, though it's not as flashy, he's not ridiculed for it. Meanwhile, Bakugo starts to act like an elitist, and he just gets worse and worse as he starts bullying kids, and one day, he and Deku would square off, but Bakugo brought friends. Deku stretches before Bakugo and his friends, asking, so, you ready to get your ass beat? Bakugo would pop a vein saying he's gonna destroy him. Don't get ahead of yourself, Deku. My name is Izuku, you roiding idiot. If you haven't noticed by now, Deku is much more of a straightforward individual. Along with this, he has an individualistic mindset, yeah. He will save people, but he likes to only focus on himself in terms of power. Like, he's kind of an egoist in certain terms. As a matter of fact, he asked Bakugo to meet him here because he was sick of him not to protect someone, and he wants to beat his ass, that's all. But he just wants to beat him up. But yeah. Hey Bakugo, wreck this guy real quick, shouted one of his friends, as Deku would then glare at the one who said this, but he returns with a smirk, as Deku says to just attack already. And his left eye will then change as Bakugo blasts forward, as does Deku. However, as Bakugo throws an explosion, Deku appears before him and slams a punch into his stomach, and as Bakugo chokes on his own spit, he falls over as Deku comes down with a punch. He barely rolls over as Deku craters his punches to the ground, and he pulls back his bleeding knuckles out, and Bakugo's goons are left astonished by this power. Meanwhile, Bakugo starts to blast at Deku, and this begins to push him back, as he would say, "You're not getting lucky again, Deku." "My name is Izuku," said Deku, as he would then punch while dragging the circuits to his right hand, all of it, and the power would then release a shockwave which blows away the explosions and allowing him to blitz and slam his fist into Bakugo's jaw. He is sent flying until he crashes, and the goons become wide-eyed, and they then feel Deku's gaze on them. They turn to see him then walking over with heavy breath as he asks if they want to join in, and with a look of fright they run off as Deku smirks, but then he starts to feel pain in his shoulder. He may be able to make his punches more explosive, but he's not physically stronger. But with this, he wins, and he walks past Bakugo, who found it hard to even move. His brain was kind of rattled, but he watches Deku walk off, and we have a time skip. As time passes, the boys come to hate each other a lot, but they never really fight again, and they keep getting stronger on their own. Bakugo works a lot on his physical strength and agility, but Deku's got him beat in that. Just the amount of scars he's garnered from training showed how much he just didn't want to mess with him. He also took boxing classes at some point and increased his stamina a lot. And as for his quirk, he can extend those circuits to his legs now by making a tiger sign, and they last for 1 minute, but his left hand still can't be reached for some reason. His overall strength and perception as well as control over time increases by a lot, but he still does get nosebleeds because quirks are... Oh, I didn't mention it. As a side effect of using his quirk too much, he can get nosebleeds and massive headaches as well. And because quirks are in the end physical abilities, he still has to deal with it, but it doesn't come as much anymore. He has surpassed his limits to a certain degree. Bakugo worked on fortifying his bones, especially the ones in his arms and his shoulders, so his explosions would give him less trouble. So they're far much bigger as well. Deku meanwhile gains more belief in his individualistic views, which make him come off as brash sometimes, but he's not a horrible person. He just doesn't care about your crap sometimes. He just doesn't care. Like every morning for the last year, Deku heads to school and starts running to keep himself warmed up, and along the way he finds a fight occurring between a giant and Kamui Woods. He will release his eye, which he has named the Jogan, allowing him to predict what the villain was gonna do, and it angers him. "Stop showing off and hit him, you idiot, he's swinging wildly," thought Deku. His left eye will then return to normal as he gets back to running, and he makes it to Aldera High. He takes a seat and throws out his backpack before then laying down his head for a quick nap, and everyone talks and continues to talk until the teacher walks in as he says, "Oh guys, Midoriya, wake up." With a snort, Deku would then make everyone laugh as he would, stand up. He would wake up, and the teacher would then say that he's gotta be focused. "I heard you were trying out for UA." "Seriously? Midoriya's gonna crush it." "Well, if he doesn't end up in a fight." "I'm not a freaking delinquent," said Deku. "Of course you're not. You're too lame for that," said Bakugo. And this would cause Deku to start staring him down with anger as Bakugo does the same, and the teacher would say to stop. "You both will do wonderful at UA." "So you're going too, huh, Bakugo?" "What do you mean, too? I'm not a side character like you bastard," says Bakugo. And the class gets riled up and mad, but they're not going to act on it because it's Bakugo. The same things then occur as in the original, with the teacher throwing the sheets into the air, but when school ends, Bakugo and Deku just go their separate ways alone. However, today Deku takes a shortcut under a bridge as he hums to himself while punching and just jumping around, and he always shadowboxed as a sort of habit when he was bored. But his moment is ruined by a sound as he will quickly turn to see the sludge villain. This makes his smile just grow as he grabs his backpack and throws it aside. "Come on, big guy, let's do this." "You're either crazy or stupid, kid," said the sludge. "You're gonna be even bigger idiot when I kick your ass." "Jogan." His eye would then change, letting out his circuits as he clenches his right fist, and the villain would laugh as he lunges forward. But just as he goes to grab him, Deku makes a hand sign and vanishes. The sludge would then hear a swish from behind as he's then blown apart with a time-enhanced punch, and the sludge is now all over the walls and starts to feel pain for the first time in a while as he slowly regathers himself, and Deku be jumping up and down like, "Come on, let's go." And he says, "I got 1 minute left, come on." His body then glows with blue light as he gathers all his power to his right hand, and as he smiles, the villain starts to actually run away, leaving Deku disappointed, but he actually starts to chase after him when he's then grabbed by someone, and a massive shockwave blows apart the villain completely, and the wide-eyed Deku turns to see All Might. "Sorry for being late, young man." He lets down Deku and asks if he's okay, but Deku would say, "I almost got him, and you got in my way." The hero is surprised by this response as Deku's eyes look almost dead now that they've returned to normal state, and he looks like seriously depressed, and he would try to cheer him up, saying he can bust villains all the time when he's a hero eventually, and he would say, "Also, you're not allowed to fight villains anyway, right?" With a scoff, Deku would then turn and grab his bag as he starts walking off, saying, "I'm gonna get out of your way." I wonder if he's gonna be fine, thought All Might. But while he's worried, Deku found it hard to keep a normal face as he'd be grinning from ear to ear. That kind of power. I wanted to, he thought. When he returns home, he would increase his training regimen and quadruple his workload because after seeing what All Might did, he wanted to reach a higher level. 10 months would then come to pass with him and Bakugo handing in their forms eventually, and then starts their grueling training. But for Deku, he tries to use his quirk differently. He spent years working on applying time to himself. Now he wants to extend it to other things. He works on a lot of things, but kept his quadruple workload. He built up his muscles a lot. Then it came time to show off at UA. When he comes to UA, he goes to the auditorium where he and everyone hear about what they will do. But while he was getting ready for the practical exam, he had to do the written exam first, and then came the time to fight. He and his group were let off the bus, and quickly they all gathered at the gates waiting for them to open. And Deku thought, remember, keep an image. Keep an image. He keeps focusing, but then he hears fidgeting and turns to see Uraraka panicking. But he doesn't care and gets back to focusing, as is everyone else. And this is when the gates are open, and he dashes out, leaving some of them startled because, well, they were also confused because they didn't know if they were supposed to go yet. But Bakugo would then run through the crowd as he blasts forward using explosions, and Deku meanwhile stomps the ground, cracking it as he picks up some rubble and puts some in his pocket. When he meets a two-pointer, activating the Jogan, he releases the circuits from his right arm to the rocks that he would take out, and he would throw it. This small projectile then pierces the head of the machine, leaving Bakugo surprised, because that is not how Deku usually fights. The kids, meanwhile, are told by President Mike to go, and so they do, and Deku will then meet a two-pointer, and extending power to his left leg, he leaps and comes down with an axe kick to its head, and he busts it wide open. And after doing so, he increases his speed, and as a blur, he proceeds to decimate any robots in his way, and others are left impressed when they see this. When they're trying to get their points, of course, they're still trying to do their work, but Ida's especially amazed because Deku's speed clearly surpasses his own. Bakugo was too busy doing his own thing, though. The heroes watching also see that Deku was amazing. He will alternate between attacking with his body and hurling the stones he picked up, giving him an amount of 60 points very soon, so he would take a break and catch his breath. Alright, 60. I'm gonna win this thing easily. He then sees a two-pointer that someone is about to get, and with a wide smile, he grabs the stone and throws it as he busts it open, and the robot falls at the kid's feet as he would say, "Hey, come on! Guess you better get a move on then," said Deku. With anger in his eyes, the kid would then run off to get points, meanwhile Deku gets back to running again. 15 minutes come to pass, leaving only 5 minutes behind, and this is when the zero-pointer is actually released, and Deku would have just finished a two-pointer when the ground then began to shake, and past him kids ran, and some bump into him, and as much as he wants to fight this gigantic monstrosity, Deku was about to run away. But then his ears pick up a voice. He stops and makes his way to Uraraka stuck under some rubble, and she would say, "Sorry, I'm stuck. Can you help me?" A grin then shows on Deku's face as he grabs a part of the rubble and lifts it off, but then gives an evil smile as he asks, "Can you get up?" Why do I feel like I'm getting bugged? Thought Uraraka. Uraraka nods though, and as he grabs her out from under the rubble, he starts running off with the others to the gates. And as the zero-pointer slowly approaches until they arrive at the gates, and Deku lets down Uraraka, and they watch as the zero-pointer approaches them and its lights go out, and President Mike will then yell, "And that is the end. The test is ended. Please exit." With a sigh of relief, everyone looks to the gates, but then they see an old lady walk through, and she says hello, and everyone makes way for her until she sees Uraraka, and Uraraka would say, "Recovery girl." "Yep, that's me. Would you lay her down for me?" she asked. Deku says sure and lets down Uraraka, with everyone realizing why Yue was going so crazy, because Recovery Girl here, so she could just heal them. With a kiss to Uraraka's leg, she heals her and she begins to glow until she's able to move again, and quickly she gets up feeling great, but just as she turns to thank Deku, he then walks past her. "Wait, thank you." "Don't worry, I wasn't doing it for you," said Deku. He would then make his way out the gates when Bakugo then comes to walk by him, saying, "I'm not losing to you." "We'll find out after the results, won't we?" he would say. And with a huff, the two would then walk to the bus, with Uraraka wondering if he was trying to help her or not, because his face did not match his actions at all. After doing this, everyone gets back to their uniforms and soon starts to leave, but Deku is actually met by Uraraka on his way out. "Oh, you again," he said. "How's your leg?" Uraraka brightens up, saying that she's fine, and as they walk, Deku asks why she's being so weird. "I wasn't really sure what to make of you, but you're just really nice, you know?" With a smirk, Deku says that she can think what she wants, and the two then make their way to the train station and just talk until they split up. And then 2 weeks come to pass. While Deku was doing push-ups in his room, Inko would barge in with an envelope in hand. "Izuku, it came." Deku then looks up and stands as he quickly takes it and opens it up while Inko waits in anticipation, and he would then come to take out a disc as he lays it down. A hologram of All Might would then show as he says, "Yamadoriya, I am happy to announce that you have passed with the top score." Inko would squeal as she grabs onto and yanks Deku back and forth, with him then asking why she thought it would be any different. "Oh, just enjoy it. You're in UA." Yeah, it feels pretty awesome. He would then smile with Inko saying this is going to be amazing, and the hologram would talk a bit more, telling him his score on the written exam, which he placed in 4th place, and he's overall very good as he garnered an amount of 120 points from saving Uraraka alone. He was also hoping that he would get more points by doing that, so that's why he actually saved her, but he would have done it anyway, but he just had different intentions. He liked the extra benefit, so it's all good. So now he's in UA, and when spring comes, he heads out to class. He walks the halls when he arrives at UA and finds the huge door, which excites him because maybe there will be some giant kids, and he's a fighter, you know? However, as he opens the door, he's disappointed to see that no one here is that imposing, and Bakugo was arguing with Ida. And as the two see each other, they start to glare, and everyone in the class feels they don't like each other. But Deku mostly ignores him and takes a seat just as Ida then walks to him, and he says he's very impressed with Deku discovering the true meaning of the test. It's no sweat. Name's Midoriya. Tenya Ida, welcome to UA. The two then shake hands just as Uraraka runs in, and she says hello, and some wave back until she sees Deku and runs to say hi, and they start to get along again when Mineta points out that someone has entered their class. Everyone looks to the front to see Aizawa as he would unzip himself and he stands straight. Hello, I am Shota Aizawa, I'm your homeroom teacher. Quickly, Ida and Uraraka sit, but much like everyone else, they don't know what to make of their homeroom teacher. However, Aizawa just gets into it, and from behind, he brings out a uniform from his podium, and he tells everyone to take one and go change into them. You'll find out at your own locker rooms. It'll be marked with your name. Uraraka would then ask about orientation, however, but is quickly shot down as everyone then heads to the locker room. After changing, they all go outside to see Aizawa waiting for them, and he says they'll be doing Quirk Apprehension tests. What? No guidance sessions? And what about the entrance ceremony? Asked Uraraka. Screw that. What you got for us, Teach? Said Deku. Aizawa would then smirk, saying that they will be doing the same exercises that they've been doing for years, but just with their quirks, and this little added perk excites everyone, just as Deku would then be handed a softball. He's told to step in the circle before him and do whatever he wants, and he just can't step out, and he will say, alright then, brace for impact. He activates the Jogan and releases all the time to his right hand, and by making a tiger sign, he pulls all the time into the ball itself as it pulses with shockwave felt by everyone, and then he throws a softball. It would then pierce the sound barrier 3 times, blowing back sand into everyone's face, and they are also blinded by the wind, but overall they're just left astonished, and Aizawa turns and shows Deku has gotten infinity. The hell does that mean? Asked Bakugo. Since Midoriya's ability seems to have to do with time, the ball reached space due to it being sped up so fast. Time? Cool, said Mina. Deku would then walk back saying that he's going to get the top score this time as well, and everyone can feel his competitive spirits, which starts to influence them, and especially Bakugo. From this display of power alone, they now are very excited to use their quirks, but this makes Aizawa say whoever comes in last will be expelled. Uraraka says nothing though, because she wants to show that she belongs here, and she also realized that there is no point to arguing with their teacher. The first test would be the 50-meter dash, as Deku is paired up with Kaminari, and as they're told to get set and then go, Deku blasts past Kaminari and arrives at the finish line in just 2 seconds, and this is said by the robot monitoring them, and this is when he would think, my time limit is kind of lessening little bit by little bit. He thought this just as Kaminari would then arrive saying, dude, you are quick. His time is then announced to be 5.4 seconds, and Deku says he's also very good for someone with no speed abilities, and he gives him a hand to help him stand. And Kaminari would then take it, saying, just like the robot said, the name's Kaminari. Midoriya, right? Deku would then nod and they head back, showing some sportsmanship, and Deku doesn't realize how surprising his speed actually was to everyone, and he's already taken the title of the fastest in their class, which should belong to Ida, so he feels kind of down. And Aizawa would then be contemplating. Quirk Chrono, allowing him to control his own time, and as of lately, the time of other objects. Potentially, it could reach people. Interesting. As the tests continue, everyone then shows their prowess and abilities, and in the end, Deku was put at first, just like he said he would be. This gave Aizawa enough reason not to expel anyone, saying it was all a ruse anyway, and though it did relieve some, others were a little annoyed, but they get to stay, and they were then sent back to class and told about their curriculum sheets. They also get to talk a little bit with their new classmates before then going back, as Uraraka, Kaminari, and Ida come with Deku. The next day, however, the students quickly get back to their normal schedules. They have to go to classes established, and they go to them, and they're taught by heroes, which is pretty cool, but it's overall mundane. Then as the afternoon came, in then ran All Might. I'm entering through the door like a normal person, he yells, as all the students are left starstruck by his appearance, while Deku was more so excited to just fight him and surpass him, much like Bakugo. All Might would then introduce what his class is entailing, and that would be trials. Trials involving battle, and today, this meant that they were going to do team battles, and using a remote, he unshelled some suitcases which contained the kids' costumes. Awesome, I was waiting for this, said Kirishima, and All Might would say, that's right, they were made and tailored for your quirks. Quickly, the kids run to the suitcases and see their names on them, and they would take them off the shelves, and as Deku grabs his, he starts to wonder who he'd be partnered up with. After getting their stuff, they then head to the locker room, and they would change and come out to ground beta in, their full wear. Deku's costume in this timeline has the same gas mask looking thing, but it fed him extra air to allow him to use more strength, and he has reinforced gloves and shoes while having a short sleeve uniform along with shorts, and they both have a color of black filled with vector lines of blue resembling the ones that he expels from his body. He also has a pouch holding certain projectiles, and All Might feels almost teary looking at the young heroes as he says it's time to begin. Then he finds himself bombarded by questions left and right, and he's overwhelmed because he's never really a teacher, he's never taught before, but by using some notes he wrote down for himself, he gets through it. Then he has everyone draw lots, allowing them to get into their teams before he then picked out what teams they will be fighting against. And when Bakugo and Deku learned that they were put together, they both grow a huge ass grin. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and guess that you two don't like each other, says Suyu. The two would immediately say, hell yeah we don't. And All Might would say, well, please don't go overboard. This isn't just you two. This involves your teammates as well. Yeah, whatever. Let's just begin, said Bakugo. The other teams need to be picked out, you dumbass, said Deku. And Bakugo would tell them to shut up as they start to bicker, but this time they stop on their own as to not disrupt class. They're not disrespectful like that. Then the first battle begins. Down below in the building will be everyone watching on the monitors as Deku and Uraraka would enter through a window, and as they land, the two walk down the hallway with Uraraka asking what exactly causes Deku and Bakugo to hate each other so much. I just don't like the guy, it's not really that deep. Regardless, kicking his ass would just feel really awesome right about now. So it's just a rivalry, said Uraraka. Deku says technically it's like that, and then they continue walking, and while they keep an eye out, they go up 2 floors, and then they come to a corner, went from the corner, then a grenade is slid out, and Deku instantly activates the Jogan just as the grenade then explodes with smoke, and while it covers Uraraka, they are blinded. Bakugo would then blow his way through the smoke as he reveals himself, and Deku turns to see him, and he would attack. However, Deku manages to make a hand sign and move fast, avoiding it before letting go of Uraraka, and he says to go when Bakugo attacks. You're not going anywhere, said Bakugo as he blasted forward, only to be met by a fast kick to the face, and Deku yells for Uraraka to go. As she runs past them, Bakugo is then sent flying as he barely stops himself with explosions, just as Deku then appears in front of him with a punch that he slams into his jaw with an uppercut. Meanwhile, in the monitoring room, everyone keeps their eyes on the action, and they wish they could hear what Bakugo and Deku were saying because their battle was epic. Deku was strong, but Bakugo was relentless and took advantage of his need for his hand signs and the fact that he could only use his right hand to catch him off guard. But Deku's Jogan naturally let him predict Bakugo's moves, and he would just be dodging him. And as he backs away with insane speed, he would then reach into his pouch and then grab a small black sphere, a bead of sorts. He would then throw it at the speed of sound as it slams into Bakugo's stomach, and he would spew a bit of blood. What do you think? They're imbued with time. Funny thing, the effect lasts an hour. Bakugo would barely stand, already full of bruises, but he doesn't falter and lifts his grenade gauntlet as he uses one last push to run forward before pulling the pin, and instantly the halls are just filled with flames enveloping Deku, and All Might and everyone in the room just get horrified and scared as All Might tells Bakugo that he has gone way too far. Do not baby me, you bastards, yells Deku as he jumps out from the smoke, and a surprised Bakugo is then thrown to the floor by a punch to the face. As he thuds to the ground, Deku will then land, and he will be radiating a strange aura, but it quickly fades as everyone in the monitor room saw this, and they seem to have protected him. And Sato would ask, he tanked all of that? What was that stuff? I did not know he could do such a thing either, said All Might. Deku himself was confused, but he just accepts what happened and just ties up Bakugo with tape before then calling Uraraka and asking if she's reached Ida. Yeah, I did, but he's really guarded. And funny. Shichako is saying that Ida is impersonating a villain, making Deku laugh as well, but he says he has a plan though. Get ready, I'm gonna do something crazy. Getting ready, Deku would then take out one of his beads, and each weigh about 5 kilograms, which is about 11 pounds, if I'm not wrong. If I am, tell me down in the comments below. And they're enhanced with time, so they pack quite a blow. Deku would amplify the time on them and then hurl them upward, causing them to rip through floor after floor until they reach the top one, and Ida is surprised by an explosion of rubble before him. What the? He then saw Uraraka rip off a ceiling beam broken by the cracks of the explosion and uses it as a bat to hit the rubble over to him while he is, blinded. She then jumps over and grabs the bomb. Hero team wins, says All Might. Ida then looks to see Uraraka just as a piece of rock hits him on the head, and he says, good work. Uraraka slides down the rocket as she thanks him, and from down the hall, in then runs Deku as he says, okay, let's go back. I already got to pick up Bakugo out cold. It's hilarious. That is simply immature, maybe even petty, said Ida. Then I'm petty, says Deku. How did you even get your phone in here? How is it still okay after all of that? Asked Uraraka. And And Deku says not to think about it too much and say they need to go. And by the shrug of their shoulders, the two just go with him. It is what it is. While Bakugo is hospitalized, everyone gathers outside to talk about the battle. As Momo would say, I would have to say Midoriya was the MVP. Damn right I am, said Deku, and many others agree, and they say that Uraraka, Ida, even Bakugo thought out everything they were going to do, which they didn't expect from Bakugo especially. And can I know why you think Midoriya was the MVP, asked All Might. Aside from adapting to the movements of his enemy, he prepared tools to end the fight quickly. I'm not too sure about running straight into an explosion though, said Momo. Actually, yeah, what was that weird cloak, asked Ojiro. Deku then says he doesn't know and it just happened. I wonder if I can do it again. He would then grunt and activate the Jogan as he would instantly start to leak this bluish aura again, and a curious Hagakure touches it saying that it tickles. Momo then said that there have been cases of people misinterpreting their quirks sometimes. Maybe your ability has to do with more than just time, said Momo. The aura would then slowly fade, and Deku says that he'll go check it out at the doctor, and All Might says good. And then he asks more questions right before they all return to the building for other fights. Other teams fight, show their abilities, and Todoroki shows why he's in the runner-up for the strongest in class, and everything soon comes to an end. They all go home. After going back home, they soon return for another class, another day, and this is when Ida gets some much needed confidence. He becomes class president. Deku and Momo are chosen, but Deku gives up the role to him, and he literally truly earns it when an incident occurs, but everything is solved. Then the day after that, everyone is suited up for the USJ, and they enter the bus as it heads to the establishment when Suyu then says, Midoriya, isn't your quirk very similar to All Might's? Hell no, I control time. How does that even work? Asked Kaminari. I speed up my movements so my punches and kicks are strong. Also, I can speed up my entire body. And there's this. He points to his Jogan, saying that because he can see people's moves before they make them, he's the best in close combat. Man, I wish I had something flashy like that. I can only harden, said Kirishima. Mina, however, said that his quirk is fine, he just needs to work on it more, but he still says that he wishes he had something flashy like Bakugo, Todoroki, or just anything imposing. Speaking of, you're fire and ice, right? Why don't you use your fire more, Shoto? Asked Deku. None of your business, he answered. Yeah, one day it's gonna be. That kind of shit pisses me off. If you're gonna care, then do. If you're not going to, then don't be a hero, said Deku. These words greatly anger Todoroki as Kirishima tried to de-escalate the situation, saying that Deku should apologize, but Deku says no. We're not just here for school. At some point, we're gonna face each other, and I'm coming out on top, even if I have to fight a pro-hero's son. He switches to his much more serious tone as everyone can feel he's not playing around, and Baku and Todoroki say they'll hold him to those words. Bring it on, says Deku. Man, you guys are so troublesome, said Suyu. The bus ride then continues and just keep talking until they arrive at the USJ, where they are met by the Hero 13, who shows them around places such as waterfalls, forests, demolition areas, landslide areas, ruined buildings, and many, many more. After doing so, she takes them back to the stairs, and she would say, yeah, I designed this place. What do you think? It's amazing. Very much so, said Ida. So we get to train here, huh? Fun, said Deku. Yes, but it's not just about training. This is more so you guys controlling yourselves. You guys may already know that my quirk is Black Hole. It sucks up rubble when it turns out to dust. Perfect it's perfect for rescues in general, said Momo. Yes, but it could also kill someone, said 13. And as she said this, they all get quiet as 13 would say that heroes must realize that they can also hurt people. It doesn't matter if you mean good, quirks can be bizarre, and when you don't know yourself well, that could cause some problems. Deku thinks on the power that he started radiating lately and wants to get under control, and well, he will. But of course, 13 says that she's also here to just teach them about saving people as well. That is all. And she would bow as everyone starts to clap, and as I would then say, alright, let's get to it. Looking at his clock, his watch, he checks how much time they have, and this is when in the corner of his eye he sees darkness. He turns to see a portal open up, and out walks a man masked by a hand grabbing his face. Quickly, the students notice this, and Kirishima would ask if this was part of the lesson, but as I would say, those are real villains, this is not a joke. And he would put on his goggles, and students would be surprised that this is really happening, but try to keep their cool. However, more and more villains flood the zone, and makes it very hard for them to do so. But how are they here? Wouldn't the sensors have picked something up? Asked Momo. Someone must be using their quirk to interfere with the signal, said Todoroki. Down below, meanwhile, the number would have just stepped out as Shigaraki asked Kurogiri. Were you wrong? He should be here. It seems All Might is running a bit late, said Kurogiri. Maybe if we kill one of them, he'll show up, said Shigaraki. He and the villains then saw Aizawa start falling down the stairs until he lands and surprisingly starts beating the shit out of many of them with relative ease and finesse. Go, said Shigaraki. With a nod, Kurogiri then warps in front of the students as they try to run out, and he says that he cannot allow them to leave, only to then be blown back by a bead from Deku, while Bakugo and Kirishima attack, but he manages to dodge them. Stop talking crap, said Bakugo. Kurogiri is impressed and commands them, but 13 yells for them to come back, just as Todoroki then envelops the whole class and blinds them with darkness, and as Deku was able to see again soon, he will be flying down to the forest area, and he smirks. As he free falls, he would then clap his hands together and meld them into hand signs as he slowly then actually slows himself down, and this begins to warp space until he essentially floats to the ground. He releases the time regulation and looks around when he hears ruffling, and he turns to the right. A villain will then attack him, having claws, but he dodges her attack and knees her in the stomach. The villain would fall over, but Deku is bombarded from all sides as he would then be forced to speed up, and moving as a blur, he knocks them all down before then coming to a stop, and then he starts running out. Man, this is the best. I don't even get scolded if I do this. Help! Help me! Help! Deku then comes to a stop when he hears this, and from the right then runs out Suyu holding Mineta, who screams when he sees Deku. Shut up! Why are you guys here? Asked Deku. Well, we didn't exactly have a choice, said Suyu. And she then said that they were being chased from behind, and then villains would be yelling and running towards the direction, but with a smile, Deku runs in and sees the 5 of them, and in the blink of an eye, he appears behind them. A delayed impact then hits them all as they hurl blood before then fall into the ground, and Deku's smirk just grows, while Suyu and Mineta are left amazed. But they didn't have time for that and quickly had to get out, and so they do, while Deku covers them until they do get out of the forest, and after doing so, they see Aizawa fighting and run to help. But for Deku, he just wanted to fight mostly. When they reach the villains, one of them would feel tap as he would turn saying, "Huh, what?" As the villain turns, he's then grabbed by Suyu's tongue and thrown into the air as he's then hurled into the water area, and some villains catch wind of this, only to then be knocked out by Deku, who uses his full body speed up before then being, they're glued together by Mineta's purple balls. From afar, Aizawa sees this as Deku then charges forward, and he's actually about to hit Shigaraki on the head, only to then be caught by the Nomu. He's left surprised, and Shigaraki turns to face him. "Didn't notice you there. Pretty impressive." "Kill him." "No!" Aizawa yells as Nomu then pulls back its fist and goes to attack, but Deku would smirk as he increases his time even more and rips his arms out and proceeds to run in front of the Nomu and slam a punch into its stomach, but he would then say, "What?" And this is when he saw his punch did nothing as Nomu then swung and he barely dodged back before then slinging another punch, and they kept going back and forth. The wind pressure from the two was blowing back many villains just as Deku was sent flying and he crashes into the stairs. He would start to bleed from his head, but he was still smiling, and up top, the ones who were left atop the stairs see that while this was going down, they had to take, While this was going down, 13 was actually trying to take care of Kurogiri, who was still there, and Ida would agree to go get some heroes because he sees Deku run back at the villains again and again, and it inspires him, and so he finds a way to get out. Uraraka and the others help him get out. But 13 her suit gets damaged, so that sucks, but she's alive. Others engaged in fights where they were teleported and were, faring pretty well despite this being their first time. However, now that all the villains were taken care of, Deku and Aizawa were still dealing with the Nomu. "You sure you're canceling its quirks?" asked Deku. "You shouldn't be doing this at all." "Yeah, well, tough. I'm not missing out on this. Ida's out for heroes anyway, we'll be fine." He would then start to force out his energy out of anger as he activates his Jogan, and he increases his power even more before then gathering it all into a bead, and just as a Nomu charges, he would focus and hurl it at its arm, blowing it off instantly, and it's like Shigaraki shocked, but the Nomu charges regardless as it appears about to punch, but then the doors are opened wide by All Might, who moves down and catches the attack. "I'm sorry, young Midoriya, I will be stealing your target again." Deku's nose starts to bleed as he says that just this once he'll let him have it, as All Might then slams a punch into the Nomu's stomach and blows it away into the mountain area, and he then chases after it. Deku meanwhile staggers as he is almost caught by Aizawa, but he would then stand on his own, saying, "I'm fine, I don't need your help." "And you're a once stubborn brat, you know that," said Aizawa. Things would then play out as before, with the Nomu being blown away by All Might's power and a plus ultra attack, and the students all manage to regather, but Kurogiri does leave with Shigaraki, while the rest of heroes are alerted, and Cementos is still block All Might from view because he still did lose his buff form. An ambulance would not arrive as Deku was hospitalized despite him insisting that he was fine. And this would make the news, it'd be a big deal, but UA does manage to keep out as much as they can about Deku and the students. However, one thing was clear: 1A was attacked, and, well, Deku had a big part in kind of stopping it. That was confirmed. But I will end this part here. Now, I know y'all enjoyed this because I know that you will. I don't even need to check the comments after this video. It's gonna be fire, bro. I know you love this. I know you love this. Sorry about the background noise. That was my chair creaking. It always happens. But yeah, if you like this, comment down below. Tell me what I could do better. You probably won't get the chance though because I planned out all these parts, bro. That's why this is gonna be released really, really fast. You will have the next part probably by tomorrow, super fast. Not even joking. I set this whole thing up. But yeah, I'm getting back into MHA what ifs again. Fun. They're actually fun to do again. I don't know what changed, but something did, and I like it. So you will be getting more of that type of content, and just get ready for it. Send me a whole bunch of MHA what ifs if you want. I'm gonna do them, as many as I can. Not all of them. That's impossible. And that is all. I'm gonna leave, make more of these what ifs, and yeah, peace. I'm gone.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. Phenomenon.